What's up, guys? It's our wrestling podcast coming back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Jess the Total Package and Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, the legacy of the Clash of Champions. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And for video, check us out on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. And check to your left, Jess has got several options for you. He works really hard on it. You should be really proud of him. And also give him a follow on Instagram at O.W.P if you're feeling saucy. It is Clash season, Jess, and we are doing a little snippy poo of the fun times and the bad times of Clash of Champions.
So we've done the legacy of WWE Saturday Night Main Event, Saturday Night. Then we've done the legacy of I think we've done legacy of Saturday Night's Main Event. I'm pretty sure we have. We have, yes.
Yeah.
And I like doing that stuff. We did the legacy of Primetime Wrestling. I like doing that stuff. And another thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'm glad we're doing it, is the legacy of Clash of the Champions. And what a legacy! It really, especially the original Clash of the Champions, like the first few, were really historic, and they really, really helped WCW in a time where they needed the fucking help because things got really bad for them for a while in like the beginning of the 90s. But Clash of the Champions was super historic, and especially the first one meant so much, and it was really one of the only few things that Crockett/Turner did, because Crockett kind of created it, and then Turner bought the company towards the end of 1988 and then just adopted Clash and kept it going. It was one of the few times where they were able to successfully jab back at the WWF, Vince was just fucking with them all the time with pay-per-views, and you're not going to carry that shit, are you, pal? And always fucking with them and fucking up Starrcade and fucking up everything else. This was one of the only effective things that WCW did that was actually worth a damn. When Vince was just taking shot after shot, they created Clash of the Champions, and it was fucking a hit, and it was awesome. And it rode for a while, and it burned out like everything else. It pretty much fizzled out whenever like Nitro and Raw were kind of going full force at each other. You didn't need it anymore. And then they also had monthly pay-per-views every month. So they didn't really need the Clash. The Clash was basically invented, as you're going to read on, to supplement the downtime between pay-per-views. There was only 1 or 2 pay-per-views a year back in the day, and then when it would hit 4, we're like, oh my god, there's 4 shows a year. So they only had a pay-per-view once a quarter. But just like Saturday Night's Main Event, Clash of the Champions filled that gap, and it wasn't a syndicated television show. It was like a live event, so it wasn't as awesome as pay-per-views should have been, but it wasn't, again, as formulaic as the syndicated Saturday morning shows or WCW Saturday Night or Worldwide or whatever. So Clash of the Champions holds a special place in this guy's heart foundation. I don't know. I couldn't tie it all together. I'm sorry.
What's up? Huh? It was fantastic. Some of the best matches in WCW ever are on Clash. We're talking Flair Steamboat. We're talking Flair Funk. We're talking Steve Austin, Pillman. I mean, whoever you have, Sting, Lugers. The greatest tag team stuff ever. It was fantastic stuff, and it was on free cable TV if you had cable. It was such a treat as a fan to see it. I think fondly of Clash, and they just did it better. Here's funny. Saturday's Main Event was late. 11:30. If you were a young lad, it's late. And if you have get your parents' permission, it started at 11:30.
I always fell asleep, by the way. It started at 11:30, and I was dozing off at midnight. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. And kids, 100%. You'd set your VCRs, but half the time we'd eventually get good at setting your VCRs. But it was an art form between cable and TV and correctly recording on an EP instead of SP. There were so many settings. It was like technology to set a VCR correctly for something that you weren't going to watch.
Not only make sure the clock was set correctly and it would record automatically in case you missed it.
Oh,
if you could set your VCR, you were a god. You were a god.
Yeah.
But by the way, if there was a power failure, you were screwed because the VCR would be set.
Clash was special, and they always had something. Towards the end, to just point, the earlier years were the better years. There was always garbage towards the end, but in the first, 5-6 years?
When Raw and Nitro launched it in 1995, there was no need for the Clash. Every Monday, you had a live wrestling show. which started out as an hour and then it went to 2 hours on both channels, and then it just grew from there. So Clash of the Champions were really not necessary anymore. And it was like, I remember after the Nitro era started and they would have a Clash, I'd be like, why? Like, you just had Nitro on Monday, and then on Wednesday they would have a Clash. So it's like you'd have, you know, and it would get fine ratings, but like it just became unnecessary after a while.
Clash was Raw and SmackDown before it was Raw and SmackDown.
That's an important distinction, Jess. My nostalgia is before the Monday Night Wars, so that's actually very, very important to a wrestling fan.
Once when 95 hit in September, when Bischoff started Nitro, it just became
changed.
it wasn't relevant anymore. It was just like why it doesn't matter. The Clash of Champions was less than.
So we're talking
carried on for 2 more years though.
We're talking 89 to about 94 or something, or whenever it started.
88, no,
so we're talking about those 6 years.
88 to 95 before the Monday Night War started.
The Clash of Champions series was created by Jim Crockett Promotions.
Thank God, because Craig and I... Well, thank God. This is like old times. Dave's like, can you both shut the fuck up? Like, it's going to be one of those episodes.
Yeah.
It might get there. We'll get there. As a direct
let's take a little gander behind the curtain and say that I actually Irish goodbye the podcast last week because I was literally so drunk. I closed my camera and left the podcast. That's how bad. Continue, David. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're good.
It's all good. 1988, as a direct counter programming move against WrestleMania 4. Instead of airing on pay-per-view,
good.
The NWA offered a major wrestling supercard live for free on TBS, headlined by Ric Flair defending the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against
Sting. You wanted a chance at this?
March
drunk
27th, 1988.
He started crying. He's all, you want to face me? Fucking
I'm
idiot.
a Flair. I'm sorry, I can't.
It was because this punk ass bitch Vince McMahon, if you've ever heard of him, like in November, they used to have Starrcade November. So Starrcade 87, Vince is like, listen, cable companies, if you want to carry WrestleMania, like you're not going to carry fucking Starrcade. And they were like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't have anything in November, so what? That doesn't make any sense. And he's like, yeah, we do. Yes, we do. And they're like, what do you have? He's like, and he's all, get the fuck in here. And Pat's all, oh my goodness, Vince, what could you possibly need me for? And he's like, we have a November show. And he's like,
five guys here.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I'm convinced Patterson just made it up on the spot. He's like, Survivor
This guy
series.
goes down, and this guy's still here. And then you got 2-on-1, and they got 2, and they got 1, and the big pop out.
Anyway, and then we'll have the comedy cooker.
So they created Survivor Series because Vince wanted to Sabbath Crockett and fuck Starrcade up. So that Survivor Series was, everybody thinks SummerSlam is the big number 2 behind WrestleMania. It was not. It was Survivor Series because Vince fucking created Survivor Series in 87 to fuck with Starrcade and to put pressure on the cable companies to not carry Starrcade. So he fucked with them first. Then they did a pay-per-view, WCW did, or NWA, in January called the Bunkhouse Stampede, which was stupid as shit. But they did that. And so then what Vince said is like, oh, you know, on USA, we have this time slot on Monday called Primetime Wrestling. This week, we're going to do a live special called the Royal Rumble. And the first ever Royal Rumble was not on pay-per-view. It was on cable. And so they had the contract signing of Hogan and Andre Chu and the first ever Royal Rumble to counter-program the Bunkhouse Stampede. So that's Vince 2, Crockett 0. And so he's just stabbing them like multiple times. Yeah. And then finally, they said, fine. If this whole thing is about you being mad.
Honestly, I'll pause you there before you even go that. And it's 3-0 because of whatever arena that WCW wanted or NWA wanted to run in. They wouldn't let them. So they could never do the Garden.
You're right.
Could never do any arena.
That was the first thing that Vince really did subtly, like in 86. It was
disgusting.
Oh, but when Bischoff read the results, he's like, dirty fucking tricks.
Yeah, dirty tricks.
So, so then finally Crockett said, and really, ironically, it was like 6 or 7 months before they sold to Turner. They were on the balls of their ass. And they were just like, well, let's just do this free show. We have TBS. They just did that with USA. We should be able to do that. Let's do like a mini pay-per-view or something that's like remnant of a pay-per-view, and we'll air it during WrestleMania 4. So while people were paying money to watch WrestleMania 4, if you couldn't afford it or you didn't have cable or you didn't have pay-per-view, but you had cable, you could watch Clash of the Champions 1 for free, and they did. And Dave, you're going to read on. It was a major success. One of the very few successes that they had in 87, 88, because really, like after 86, Crockett was struggling. They were spending more money than they were bringing in. Bill Watts sold them a limping horse with the UWF, and they bought the UWF and all of its debt, and they fucked themselves, and then they were just hemorrhaging money. Even though they were selling out arenas in 86 and even portions of 87, they were doing very well. They were doing great business. Wrestling itself was on top of the hill, but they just lost control. And then the last gasp was Clash of the Champions, and we got to enjoy it for years after. But yeah, man, the first Clash of the Champions not only made a future Hall of Famer, but was a major success for the company. Obviously not enough to save it from having to sell to Turner, but go ahead, Dave, sorry.
The success of the first event, which drew a massive television rating, led to Clash of Champions becoming a recurring special series throughout the late 1980s and 90s, under both NWA and later World Championship Wrestling. So we kind of talked briefly about, when we get into, each event by year. The first one was in Greensboro, 6,000 fans, sold that puppy out. It had a television rating that was kind of unheard of at the time of a 5.6. That's huge.
Jesus Christ.
I still think that was the biggest rating Clash Champions ever got. I don't think they ever...
Probably.
I don't think they ever got back there.
It's Ric Flair versus Sting for the title. I mean, it's huge. I mean,
it made Sting, Sting was one of the acquisitions from the UWF was Sting's contract. And so he came over and he was just this unproven guy, and Flair liked him in the back and just felt like he's got something. The fans take to him, especially the young ladies, they take to him. And so and he paints his face. So of course kids are going to want to do that. So they were trying to get a marketable star, like they had the Warrior on the other channel and Hogan. Sting was this guy, and Flair just felt that he could go, and they went, 40 minutes, 45 minutes or whatever. It was a draw. But it made Sting's career. It legitly did. And I remember all of the magazines covering Sting after that. Everybody talked about Sting, and he was just a major babyface for that company for years afterwards. I mean, all into the Monday night. Sting was pure WCW. Never jumped ship, never left after that. Like this literally made a legend's career, Sting, right here. It was awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Tommy Young has secured the decision of the judges. Referee Young, if you will. Judge Patty Mullen has scored the match for the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Judge Gary Juster has scored the match for Sting. Judge Sandy Scott has declared the match a draw. The match is a draw, therefore, still NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Right. Clash of the Champions 2.
Also, real quick on one of the big things that nobody talks about was the Wyndham and Luger winning the tag titles from Anderson and Blanchard. It was one of the few times that the Horsemen would kind of let their guard down and let the faces go over, and that pop was massive. I remember Luger in interviews said, I thought the building was shaking. He was like, that's how loud it was. And Luger and Wyndham would defeat Anderson and Blanchard for the NWA Tag Team Championships, which would kind of put the Horsemen on their heels a little bit. And then obviously they would regain them. But it was Wyndham would eventually join the Horsemen and turn on Luger. But it was really, the first Clash was a really, really great night. Really good night for WCW. Not only did they get fresh eyeballs that couldn't get WrestleMania 4 on their product, and they got this big rating. They made Sting, and they showed a shocking title turn, which is awesome. It's everything that you wanted, kind of in a premiere event,
Right. Clash Champions 2, Miami Mayhem. I'll give you one guess what city that was in on June 8th of 1988.
Minneapolis.
Yeah, there you go. You got it. Nailed it, bro. 2,400 fans.
Yikes.
The James L. Knight Center is a little small, a little cramped, apparently. But it still achieved almost a 5 rating. It's a 4.8. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard are highlighting their championships, putting them on the line against Sting and Dusty Rhodes for that NWA World Tag Team Championship. That's lots of fun. It's good stuff.
What's crazy, I always equate, like, ratings are very hard to kind of determine versus like share or like viewers. But I always think like one ratings point is like I'd call it 800,000 people. So I always rounded it up and called it 1 million. So 5.4, what you're saying is a 4. I always say that's still 4 million people on cable watching, which is absolutely nuts.
Which for cable back then, that was really big.
Right. And then,
so
the fact you only get 3,000 in the building, there's 4,000 people, there's 4 million people watching it live at home, which is crazy for like, you can get millions of views now on YouTube, but to watch it live, we're happy now. AEW is happy with 500,000. WWE is happy with 900,000 people. Back then, like a Wednesday out of nowhere WCW to NWA Clash of Champions, 3 million people, 4 million people. It's crazy. Different time.
Yeah, different time. And that was a lot of attention, like, to get at the time. Really, it was a great thing.
And dare I say, this is the accidental blueprint for things like Raw and other things that where the cable rating mattered more than the attendance for a bit. Vince always held back on his gate for his house shows, and it was a big deal even when things were tough. But you know, you're looking at Raw and you're looking at things. I want to have my own streaming channel. You're looking at things to be paid out on a streaming level or on a cable network, level. And eventually, you got huge buyouts from USA and ESPN and was it UPN at one time? Or it was the CW, right? CW.
Yes. Yeah.
Had a big contract at one point, and it just grew from there. But this is kind of the blueprint for that. You have 4,500 people in attendance again at Clash 3. In Albany at the Civic Center, but it's a 5.4 rating. And Barry Windham is defending his championship against Sting. That's the United States.
Can you look at that? From Clash of the Champions 1, Sting was in the main event for the first 3. That's how much it made his career. He was in the main event of the first 3 clashes. That's pretty fucking awesome.
And still, to Craig's point, it's like 5.5 million people are watching this on cable, but there's only 4,500 people in the building. It's impressive. I mean, it really kind of paved the way for what Vince. There's no way he didn't hear about it or have an idea of it before.
And fuck them.
And also, but Bischoff definitely saw it. Bischoff at one point had to have seen this, and he came in and goes, "Oh,
yeah, and we don't have to go through every clash, but like, Jess, what do you like? What are some of the biggest moments of the clashes for you? Like, because they went through the beginning period, this huge ratings, and then it peaked, and then
you had to have. So the first one had purpose. The first one was programmed against WrestleMania 4. That's a very specific purpose. So you're going to book the tag team title change. You're gonna book Flair to be challenged by this young challenger that's never been proven. But then, you're right, Craig. Like, and then sometimes they had them basically once a quarter, so 4 times a year. And so then it just became to keep moving stuff along, to keep hyping up for the next big pay-per-view. They got 89. I mean, the biggest one to me was Flair and Steamboat 2 out of 3 falls, which is one of the lowest attended ones and the lowest rating ones because the promoter at the time, I think his name was it Scott Casey? He thought, well, I don't want to spoil the house shows. So if we give Flair and Steamboat away, no one will want to come and see the house shows. So they purposely under-advertised that clash. Steamboat and Flair Part 2, they under-advertised. He was fired right after, by the way, as he should be.
He was a WCW NWA employee? He was a Crockett employee?
Yeah, yes. He was it was Turner. It was Turner by this time. But he got fucking fired because they're just like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, you fucked us up. For Flair and Steamboat to get that rating. Dave, what was that rating? It's 89. I think it might have been the first Clash of the year.
It's a 4.3 still.
That's not too bad at all. But the attendance, they were in the fucking Superdome, right? In New Orleans?
Yeah.
The Superdome. No.
5,300 people in the Superdome.
Yeah, so it's terrible. It's awful. Like, yeah, 89 had some of the best in-ring work that I had ever seen in WCW.
I want to see a piece of video from that. The Superdome is 80,000 people.
It was all black. They shut the lights out. It was awful. Like, you could hear the echo of no one in the seats when the crowd would cheer. It was terrible. Wow. Like, it was fucking terrible. Just the fact that they did that. But I remember that show. I remember Flair and Steamboat. A lot of wrestling purists said that was the match of the year. Their third match was the best match they ever had, in my opinion. But according to Flair, they had countless house show matches that nobody saw except for the people in the building that blew all of their TV matches away. And I believe it.
The double arm chicken wing. The double arm chicken wing. He's got him. He fell back.
Can't hold him.
He's got Flair. He's got Steamboat. Flair had Steamboat's shoulders to the mat. Or did
Steamboat has won it.
Steamboat had Flair's shoulders to the mat. He had his shoulders to the mat. Steamboat retained the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. What a great match.
But yeah, that was a really big one too. They had a lot of good ones. They had a really good show with the main event of Steamboat and Funk later in '89. I loved that show. That's probably one of the best Clash champions. And then the one with Terry Funk and Flair in the I Quit match is probably the greatest Clash ever. But it's in my top 5 because I have other favorites as well. '93 is one that we covered last week.
You said Steamboat and Funk was an I Quit match?
No, not Steamboat and Funk. Flair and Funk was, but Steamboat and Funk was Flair. The Clash. Steamboat and Funk was the Clash before, which I think that got a low rating, if I'm not mistaken. That dipped into 3.
So 3.8.
Yeah, that dipped into 3. So like they were struggling in WCW in '89, but they had all the talent in the world. They just to say Steamboat and Flair did that low of an attendance in New Orleans is bullshit.
Awful.
I mean, arguably they shouldn't have fucking booked the Dome anyway. What are you doing booking the fucking Superdome for a Clash, you fucking idiots?
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, what are you doing?
That's just...
There wasn't a venue that held 10,000 people that you could have filled. Even if you have filled that would look way better than fucking the Superdome. Like, so
That's
stupid.
just biting too hard. And then all props, by the way, like Flair is just the most important wrestler in the first couple of years of Clash, right? Like
He's a savior. Yeah. I mean,
looking at the card.
And then you go to 90. There really wasn't great Clashes in the 90s. Some of them probably had decent ratings or whatever, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, really, that was just the year of Sting and when Sting's going to beat Flair at the Bash that year. 91 actually had some really good Clashes, even though that is when the year that Flair said, "I'm out," and took the belt. But the first 2 Clashes, Flair took on Scott Steiner, one of Scott Steiner's first ever singles matches, which didn't click as well, and Steiner actually hated Flair from that day because he felt that Flair sandbagged him. But Flair was getting older at that time or whatever. One of the other Clashes in 1991, I remember, a 2 out of 3 falls match against Bobby Eaton, which was fucking excellent.
Knoxville, Tennessee.
It was excellent. I loved that match. That's a great match, too.
So there were 4 Clashes in 90.
Yeah, I mean, they were doing one a quarter, in every year. And then there was also 4 in 91. Another one in 91 was the last one, Dave, correct me, it should be November of 1991.
Luger and Steiner.
It was Luger and Steiner. That was Rude's first ever WCW show. Well, no, actually, I take that back. He debuted as the Halloween Phantom at Halloween Havoc like that month before. But he took on Sting and beat Sting for the U.S. title. That Clash is also in my top 5. That November Clash of the Champions. One of the best Clashes you will ever fucking see. That building for Sting, when he got his knee, it was when Luger turned on him and revealed himself. So leading up to it, there was a bunch of gift boxes that Sting kept having to open. One of them had Cactus Jack, which he debuted for the company, came out and beat the shit out of Sting. And the other one was Abdul the Butcher. And then the last one was Medusa, who came out and tried to seduce him. But then Luger runs out of the back and chops his knee and beats the shit out of his knee on the thing. That sets up the Luger-Sting match that everybody kind of wanted to see. This is when Luger was a heel, when he faced Ron Simmons and all that stuff. Luger was actually on his way out like a few months later. And then, so Sting got taken to the hospital. Remember that angle that we saw, Dave, at Full Gear, where MJF hurt his knee at the beginning of the show and went to the hospital?
Angle.
That was legitly ripped off beat for beat from Sting here. So Sting gets taken to the hospital. Then Sting fucking comes back, gets out of the fucking ambulance with his tights were cut, and they wrapped it in white bandage or whatever, and the place went crazy. He walks in that building. Rude runs down the ramp to attack him. Sting presses him with one leg because he puts his injured leg up, and that place. I'm surprised the roof didn't fall in. And he slams Rude on the rampway, and and Jim Ross was just losing his shit. Like, I mean, Jim Ross was like, like, I mean, it's just magic. That whole clash was amazing.
God.
In that clash.
Rude and Sting now fighting on the rampway. Sting, oh my God! Bad leg and all. He military pressed Rude right to the ramp.
But Jim, let's talk about what's going on. That left knee, as you can tell, is really hurting. He's not 100% at all.
Sting kicking Rude off the rampway. Nick Patrick trying to get him in the ring. Sting.
It was amazing. In that clash as well, Ricky Steamboat returned after a couple of years away. He was Dustin's surprise partner, and they defeated Larry Zbyszko and Arn Anderson for the tag team championship. So that clash as well in November of 91, also in my top 5 of one of the greatest clashes ever. So you had already just some amazing, amazing Clash of the Champions. 92 was kind of I don't remember anything special of 92.
Looking at the 92 and 93, it's a lot of tag teams. It's a lot of 6-mans. It's a lot
and then we do go to the 93,
it's
the one in June where Flair and Anderson took on the Hollywood Blondes, also in my top 5 of greatest Clash of the Champions ever. We talked about that in our review. Please go watch our review of Clash of the Champions 23. I think it was just some great matches on there. Just really, that was my sweet spot, man. Like from 91 clashes to 93 was just awesome. 94, there were some good ones. Flair and Hogan, their rematch was just that was. They did another ambulance gimmick. Hogan gets taken to the hospital and comes back with his knee or whatever. It's really weird how wrestling keeps copying.
November 94, Hogan, Sting, and Dave Sullivan versus the Three Faces of Fear.
Dave, what's the attendance on that and the rating real quick? I have a story about that.
Say it one more time. What was the year?
It's number 29, November 16th, 1994. In Jacksonville, Florida. XX1X.
That's attendance of 3,600, 3.6.
So the rating's terrible, by the way. But there's only 3,600 people in the building. There was a legit hurricane outside. So the fact that 3,600 people showed up is kind of amazing. But the building was less than half full.
Oh, and we forgot to say,
how was the
Mr. T,
Vader
the
Davey
special guest
Boy
referee.
match, Craig?
Not great.
93,
Not great, Dave.
Daytona
Thank
Beach.
you for asking. Not great. Not great.
Wasn't
Thank you
good?
for asking.
No, there was, and that year too in '93 there was a lot of Flair and Vader headlined a clash there, and then Davey Boy.
Vader was great.
'93, I'm telling you, '93 is my nostalgic spot for WCW. I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked a lot of shit in '89. I liked a lot of shit in other years or whatever, but '93 WCW, I don't know, man. That's when I really connected with their product, and a lot of people say it's one of their worst years, but I don't think so. I think that you had Vader, you had Sid, you had Bulldog, you had Sting, you had Flair coming back to the company after his WWF run. You had Cactus Jack and Vader feuding as well. I don't know how they fit. In 1 year, Vader feuded with Sting, Bulldog, and Cactus Jack, and Flair, and tore the house down with all 4. That year for Vader was just fucking special. That was just a really, really great year.
He's
Makes sense.
95.
Smith would have won it. Picks up Vader. Race. Pulls the leg. Oh, he hit the knee. Under the knee. 2, 3. Vader wins it. Big Bad Vader wins it. Let's get the official word on this match. The winner is still champion and Vader.
Makes sense.
95 clashes were but they were just whatever. 95, 96 clashes were
You don't like Hogan and Savage versus Sullivan and Butcher? What's the problem?
David, please, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Vader versus Arn versus Flair in Daytona Beach? That seems pretty good. 95.
I mean, it
wasn't as good as it should have been.
No, it didn't. No, you are correct.
Flair and Giant versus Hogan and Savage. Come on.
Also,
Come on!
Yeah, the 96. And then I remember
They ran out of steam sometimes.
after the NWO was formed, Hogan and Flair. Well, because to our point earlier, once they launched Nitro in 95, like the clashes were just not why do any of them?
Why?
But I remember Flair and Hogan in 96. This was after Hogan turned NWO. That was kind of special because we hadn't really seen them face each other with the roles reversed, with Flair as face and Hogan as heel. So I remember that being kind of fun, that one. What was the attendance and the rating on that one, Dave?
5,000, 3.5.
Short-lived title reign for Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He's got it turned over though, and Flair turns it back. He turned it back. That quickly, Flair snapped it back the other way.
Hogan's going to give it up. Hogan's going to give it up.
He yanked the referee down. Choking Randy Anderson. Yanked him down. We've got outsiders in the ring.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Did Hogan gave up?
I don't know, Tony. I have no idea.
The outsiders. Stomping Flair. Here come the Horsemen. And Sting. Horsemen and Sting. Lex Luger. Side by side.
Quarter. But yeah, like I loved Clash of the Champions. It was awesome. I just love it. They used to do this thing on TBS too. They started it in 94 and Joe would come over, I remember, and they did called WCW Up All Night, and it was just like the best of the Clash of the Champions. And it was this 3-hour thing. It started like at 10 at night and ended at like midnight or 1 o'clock, and we just stayed up all night and watched a bunch of best of Clash of the Champions. It was really, really fun. Like, there's just a special place for me for Clash of the Champions and WCW in general. Yeah, what an invention. I think the first one was against WrestleMania 4, and then they did, if you can look, Dave, in 89. What was like the first Clash there? What was the month?
The first Clash in 89?
Yeah.
Bring it up, Jamie.
Jamie, can you look that up, Jamie?
89. Gotta go way back in the Wayback Machine. We have, it was February of 89.
What was the next one after that?
That was April of 89. That's Steamboat versus Flair for the championship.
So that one, that was also against WrestleMania 5. But then after that, they didn't challenge WrestleMania after that. But the first two were programmed against WrestleMania 4 and 5.
It really
100%.
was like the best way to watch if you were not a hardcore fan that you were paying $25 on a
you were going to see Superstar versus Superstar for the first time without a pay-per-view.
It was on a Clash too. I remember where Van Hammer and Cactus Jack, they had the first ever like Pinfalls Anywhere match, and no one ever really seen that in America before. And it was really fucking good. They were in the horse stables, and Cactus got he hit Van Hammer with a fucking shovel, and like it was just awesome. Like I remember that just being the most insane thing I'd ever seen at that time too. And Cactus also, I think he debuted against Mil Mascaras of all people. And Mil Mascaras he didn't want to lose or give him anything, but that was the first time ever on television we ever saw Cactus take a back bump on the fucking concrete. And people were just like, and I remember Jim Cornette pushed it because they're like, we got to get this guy over. And then he did it, and Cornette's like, he's dead. And Jim Ross like, my God, like there's so many great moments on Clash of the Champions.
What a piece of shit Mil Mascaras was, by the way.
No, but what a weird pairing, though. Let's put Cactus Jack against Mil Mascaras. Because Mil Mascaras, is known for hardcore. He's not.
Oh, yeah. He did a lot of barbed wired matches. Oh, no, he wasn't? Oh, no, he was older than shit.
There was so many great stuff, so many great moments on Clash of the Champions. Way too much to name. We named a few going, but I love it. I love Clash. I love you, WCW. I miss WCW.
We'll be able to get back to it next year. We'll celebrate it again next year this time. It'll be fun. It'll be great. We'll go back.
We'll just do Clash again. You're all, Jess, we did this last year. I'm like, no, we didn't. We're doing Legacy Clash Champions again.
Well, we'll do like a hidden gems of Clash, the stuff that was on the undercard that was really good. We'll figure it out.
That's a good idea.
Good. Yeah. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. For video, check us out on YouTube at our wrestling channel. And to follow us on Instagram, you can check us out at O.W.P 2019. For Jess, Craig, and myself, this is the O.W.P. Signing off.
Oh, excuse me. I thought you were going a different direction.